Hello, welcome. My name is Aichabot. I'm a dedicated Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links streamer, and today I'm going to show you a very strong deck which has been actually wrecking the KC Cup lately, and we see it every time during any Team Wars or Clan Wars game which is played. At least one player is running a Cyber Dragon deck. So let's go into the deck explanation now. Basically, this deck is usually always played on Zane Truesdale because you need Cyber Style as a skill, which is really mandatory and attack for this deck. If you don't have the skill, it's quite hard to play that deck because the skill of Cyber Style will actually give you tokens for 1000 life points you are missing. So can be used if your life points are 3000 or below, because play one Proto Cyber Dragon in attack position from outside of your deck for every 1000 life points which you are missing below 4000. So Proto Cyber Dragon played with this skill cannot be tributed or used as a material except when fusion summoning. The skill can only be used once per duel, so remember that you can only use it once and then your tokens are gone, so better you use it wisely. And this is a main precondition to play this deck. The other card you need for the deck is, I would recommend at least one Cyber Dragon. I've seen people running two. I'm not sure if it's really necessary. If your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, so this is pretty handy. And then you can normal summon, for example, a core or a Cyber Dragon Fear. In best case, you have 3 cores. I think this is really mandatory. I'm not sure about the Cyber Dragon Fear. I think one of the copies could be replaced with another Cyber Dragon card too. I run 1 copy of a Kydroid and 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone just to protect myself from back row of my opponents, and to stall him in case we brick, so we can just drop the Kydroid and even use it from graveyard to stop an opponent's attack. Of course, you run 1 copy of the Herald of Abyss because this is your out to Cositis and all the other cards which cannot be targeted or destroyed. Just remember Cositis and, for example, the Cat Saber Dancer from Luna Lights. If you cannot target something, you cannot destroy it, then it's kinda problematic. And for example, the Cybernetic overflow will help you destroy, but if the card says it cannot be destroyed by any card effect, then you have also a problem. That's why you need to remove it with the Herald of the Abyss. By paying 1500 life points, declare 1 monster type and 1 attribute. Your opponent must send 1 face-up monster with the declared type and attribute from the field to the graveyard. So it's non-targeting and it's not a destruction or banishment, it's a removal, which gives you actually a good chance that you get rid of the card you just want gone from the board. Then on the other hand, you have the Fusion Gate and the Cyberload Fusion. Basically, this works as 4 fusions in one deck for you to special summon then your extra deck Cyber Dragons, which you have down here. Those are basically your boss monsters. I will explain them after we explained the Fusion Gate. The Fusion Gate is why this card is actually a field spell, okay? When this card is on the field, your turn player can fusion summon 1 fusion monster from their extra deck by banishing monsters listed on it from their hand or field, which means that you're actually giving not only yourself the possibility to fusion summon, but also your opponent. So if you leave the Fusion Gate open there on the field as a field spell, your opponent can use it too, never forget about that. So if you fusion summon like a Rampage Dragon and you have the chance to destroy the Fusion Gate after that, just do it, because you don't want to leave this opportunity to your opponent. Then you have the Cyberload Fusion, which is actually a quick spell now. This is not a feed spell, it's a quick spell now. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck that lists Cyber Dragon monsters as material by shuffling the fusion material listed on it into the deck from among your cards on the field and your face-up banished cards. So if you have banished cards and if you have 1 Cyber Dragon in the banished pile and 1 Cyber Dragon on the field, you can fusion summon with Cyberload Fusion, which is really important. And since this is like a quick spell, you can also set it in your back row and just wait until your opponent does something and then go into like a reaction chain to it and make a dragon out of it. However, you need to know the effects of the boss monster Cyber Dragons, and that's very important. Also, you can Cyberload Fusion for your hand since it's a quick spell during your own turn, so you don't have to always set it. You can keep it in your hand, attack with your normal monsters, just poke him and see if there's something coming from the background, or is there a delay, he has a Karibo or no, and then you still can fusion summon from your hand. This is pretty awesome. Then we have 1 concentration current. I have seen people playing 2 of it. It's okay if you want to, you know, if you don't want to run a kite word, you can run 2 currents. But I find like 1 current really helpful because targets 1 face-up monster you control. It gains attack equal to current defense, which is really helpful with some of your boss monsters because, for example, the Rampage Dragon is usually too, how to say, small to get over bigger monsters, and with 3000 or 2000 plus 500, 800 attack. If you have a current, you will always have a way to get over those monsters with the 2100 attack of the Rampage Dragon. Then you have the Cybernetic fusion support. I think this card is also really tag in this deck because by pay half of your life points once if you fusion summon a machine fusion monster in this turn, which will be a Cyber Dragon, you can banish monsters from your hand, graveyard, and or your side on the field or your side of the field as a fusion monster, which basically gives you the chance to use all the monsters everywhere, like on your field, on your board, in your hand, in your graveyard, and the banish pile. But basically everything you have available can be accessed if you use this card as an effect before you go into the Cyberload fusion or into the fusion gate. And this also like takes away usually 2000 of your life points, which gives you exactly 2 tokens with the skill of Cyber Style, and gives you basically your, how to say, your chain combo, which is coming in here. For distraction effect, we said before, you have the Cybernetic Overflow. Herald Abyss is removal, it's not distraction. Cybernetic Overflow, however, is a trap card which is set in your back row. It's a dead card if you don't have actually any Cyber Dragons out there, but if you have Cyber Dragons out there, it's so powerful. Banish Cyber Dragons with different levels from your hand, face up, field, and or graveyard. So basically somehow, somewhere, a Cyber Dragon. Then destroy an equal number of cards your opponent controls. That's crazy. With different levels from your hand, face up, field, or graveyard, then destroy an equal number of cards your opponent controls. Doesn't matter if monster or back row, you just can't destroy them. And here you cannot see the word target, which means is a non-targeted destruction. GG. If this card on this effect is destroyed by card effect, add 1 cyber spell trap, a cyber spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So basically helps you searching for Cyberload fusion or another overflow. And you can only use each effect of Cybernetic Overflow once per turn. So during your turn once, and then your opponent turns the next time, and so on and so on and so on. I think the most important part about the Cybernetic Overflow is its non-targeted destruction. So any card which usually cannot be targeted can be destroyed with this card. Only if the card says cannot be destroyed by card effect, then it's do-do. But before, everything is okay. Now to the boss monsters in this deck, which is the Cyber Dragon. This one, fierce monster, you need 3 Cyber Dragons to fusion summon it. It will have 4000 attack points and piercing. However, this card is vulnerable to destruction, to removal, to put into defense position, blah blah blah. So this card is kinda, how to say, very vulnerable. If you know that you cannot OTK, I wouldn't summon it. So if you know that your opponent has like no Kuribo, no back row, and just like a monster sit there in defense position, and you know you can do piercing damage to him to end him, then summon it. Otherwise, it's maybe not the best idea just because it's a big monster. Maybe to save 1 turn. Yeah. Then you have the Chimera Tech Over Dragon. Okay, I've seen a lot of people misplaying with that card, me including, because we Yu-Gi-Oh players cannot do math. You know, this card says Cyber Dragon plus 1 more plus 1 or more machine type monsters, which is basically Cyber Dragon plus Cyber Dragon plus Cyber Dragon in this deck. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. When this card is fusion summoned, send all other cards you control to the graveyard, so you should not have other cards in your hand. The original attack and defense of this card each become equal to the number of fusion material monsters used for its fusion summon x 800. So the more monsters you use, the more attack points this card gets. Each turn, this card can attack your opponent monsters a number of times equal to the numbers of fusion materials monsters used for fusion summon. 2 monsters, 1600, 3 monsters, 2000, See, math is already not working. 2,400 and then 3,200 and then 4,000 and so on and so on and so on. And a lot of people forget about that effect, and then they just go into the fusion summon of the Chimera attack over Dragon, forgetting that they only have like limited resources available, and then they have in the end like a 1,600 attack over Dragon out there on the board, and they just lose game because they couldn't do math. But that happened to even to the best people. I've seen it during Team Wars, I've seen it on the ladder, I've done it myself. Because sometimes you're just so, under pressure and in time, because the timer's counting down and there is like no other way. You can only fusion summon something, so you're just going to fusion summon something, and then you pick the over dragon, and then you couldn't do math, and then you're dead. That's what usually happens. Fusion support. So now he can use his last Cyberload fusion to use everything out of graveyard, banish zone, whatever he has, into a fusion summon. So let's go. What do we get? Oh, Chimera Tech Over Dragon. I hope he could do math. Uh-oh. No, he couldn't do math! Oh no! No! Oh, what did you do? He couldn't do math! I was like, I hope he can do math, and then no, he can't do math! Oh!
Does anyone clip this?
God! No!
Please, anyone clip.
Oh God, no,
we need this clip. Please.
Oh wait, isn't Bijou actually a Chinese guy? He's an Asian guy who can't do math. We found a world miracle. It's not possible. What I recommend instead is usually the Cyber Twin Dragon or the Rampage Dragon. The Rampage Dragon is actually the core monster of your deck in this version. And the Twin Dragon is basically the bigger brother, the bigger sister, because the Twin Dragon can always attack 2 times, no matter when it is summoned, like during mana phase, battle phase, doesn't matter. However, and it only needs like 2 Cyber Dragons to work, so a fusion summon of this card can only be done with the above fusion material monsters. This card can make a second attack during each battle phase, and it's 2,800, so it's a pretty big monster out there, it's good. However, it will not destroy back row like the Rampage Dragon. The Rampage Dragon is a little more complex, but a little smaller, attack point monster. But the effects are very, very useful. That's why we run actually the Rampage Dragon second copy in this deck as a core monster. So if you don't have like 2 Rampage Dragons, it's kind of hard to play this deck. If you have only 1 Twin Dragon, it's okay. But 2 Rampage Dragons are definitely really mandatory. You need it. Because if this guy is gone and you cannot summon him a second time, what are you going to do with the rest of the duel? Yeah. And when the Rampage Dragon is summoned by fusion summoning 2 or more Cyber Dragon monsters, you can, I think, target up to 2 cards. Yeah, you can target spell trap cards on the field up to the number of fusion materials used for the fusion summon. Okay, so usually you use 2 monsters, then you target 2 cards. If you resume monsters, you can target 3 cards. Spell trap cards on the field up to the number of fusion monsters used for the fusion summon, destroy them. And once per turn, so if you do that during your main phase, you have the chance to activate the effect of the Rampage Dragon. So you send up 2 light monsters, machine monsters from your deck to your graveyard, which could be a core, which could be a fear, which could be a Cyber Dragon. And then you can attack up to, I think, 3 times, right? You can no. Each monster sent from here. This card gains 1 additional attack during each battle phase this turn. So which means usually you have 1 attack without activating the effect. But if you activate the effect during your main phase and send 2 light monsters into your graveyard, you get 2 additional attacks, which is 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And if you have a current, yeah, nobody can stop you. That's why you run current and Rampage Dragon. It's really important. Because the current will boost this monster to how much? 3,700. Wait, we can do math. Yay! Math! Alright. And that's basically it. This is the main point about the Cyber Dragon Cyber style. I see most people play it more defensively, setting up their Cyber Dragons, putting the overflow into the background, waiting, then destroying the board of their opponent, putting those cards into the banish pile and destroying the monsters of your opponent, and then afterwards like using the Cyber Dragons from the banish pile and the fusion summon to going into a Rampage Dragon and then attack into the opponent. But however you play it, it's always up to you. If you want to wait for your opponent and use overflow first and go fusion, or if you just want to directly go fusion, destroy the back row and whatsoever shenanigans. The most important part about the Rampage Dragon you need to know is if you quick fusion into a Rampage Dragon, not during main phase but during your battle phase, you cannot activate the effect of the Rampage Dragon, so you would just get that one attack and the destruction effect. This is important. Otherwise, you're just going to, you know, wrong plan your strategy. Your strategy is going to be gone. Alright, so now enjoy gameplay with Zane Truesdale. Cyber Dragon is a very fast deck, it's a lot of fun, and usually you will end your opponent within the 5 or 6 turns and then just gain a lot of time. I guess that's also the reason why a lot of people play it in the KC Cup, because you can just get a very quick win out of this deck, and it's one of the top decks for the recent KC Cup. That's why I recommend it. Share it, like it, post questions below in the comments, and see you on Twitch. And all the Zane Truesdale fans out there, I'm wanted. So thank you and see ya. Bye bye.